Hey all, welcome to ShareTreck. This is Raj here. Friends, this is a special video I made to talk about what Jamie Dimon was warning us about, the geopolitical risks. So finally I found a popular voice that also seems to have the same concerns that I have and a little more. Let me show you this article before I proceed. So we have this article in CNN Business which says Jamie Dimon warns of treacherous geopolitical conditions that are getting worse. It's a pretty long article, quite detailed in the sense that there's a lot of important points that he has mentioned. I want to talk about that to you and add a few of my own pointers as well on what to do in case of inflation going out of control and in case of deflation. Just want to share my thoughts and get your feedback on what you think we need to do in such a circumstance. Well, in this article, Jamie Dimon warns about worsening geopolitical risks, and he's also talking about the things that I have been talking about, that is the Ukraine war and the Israel war, which could have significant economic and he's saying even historical consequences. And further, Jamie says that inflation is slowing, but the US economy has avoided a recession. The article further goes on to say that even though inflation is slowing and the US economy has avoided a recession, but critical issues like large fiscal deficits, infrastructure needs, and global remilitarization remain. And in terms of what he had specifically to talk about with regard to geopolitical stability, this article reiterates his concerns about global instability, emphasizing that threats from countries like Iran, North Korea, and Russia are growing, which he calls an evil axis working against Western interests. Now, if you have been paying attention to the news, just this morning we got news that there is a spat going on between North Korea and South Korea. North Korea is doing a lot of saber rattling, and they have just destroyed a road that was built using money supplied by South Korea, which was connecting North Korea to South Korea. So things are getting a bit rough out there. So, and the pressure is on US because US is continuing to have to engage in all these theaters of war, and internally also you have the election coming up and there is political instability. And in this, with social media and internet and all these other options available, I think we are looking at a very turbulent time, especially for Western interests. And in this article, Dimon expressed uncertainty about the US economy, but he also said, always you can't just criticize US, you have to add the homily that resilience is there, it's supported by strong consumer spending and a solid labor market, all of which seems to be true. But all these strong consumer spending and labor market, everything is predicated on inflation. And here Jamie has indicated there's a possibility of a no landing scenario where the economy avoids recession. That's a best case scenario, I think. And the rising US debt is also a major concern for Jamie Dimon. He says that it could lead to inflation and complicate the Federal Reserve's economic management. And Jamie Dimon gives a 35% to 40% chance of the US avoiding a recession, indicating he's not fully confident that inflationary pressures will ease soon. And I think I also share the worry that inflationary pressures may not subside, not because of the way the economy is, but because of the geopolitical situation. That's the main risk factor I worry about. And also we have had hurricanes, right? And hurricanes have disrupted businesses. They have caused billions of dollars worth of losses and human impact also. So those things are supposed to impact the economic reading and the GDP later on. So initially there will be a drop, and then reconstruction activities will boost the economic cycle, and there will be a boost back up. But Jamie Dimon emphasized that the impact of hurricanes is going to be minimal, saying that they are unlikely to have a lasting global consequence. So if you look at it from a global perspective, of course, it doesn't have global consequences. But for the United States, it definitely has economic consequences down the line. And also, this is how a good CEO reacts. Jamie Dimon, in this article, it mentions he has stayed neutral on the upcoming US presidential election, clarifying that he has not endorsed any candidate and has no plans to take a government position. This is how a good CEO operates. I think this is a good example to have a look at. This is what classic CEOs do. And when I look at this entire article, right, it was couched based on how JP Morgan performed and how they have increased their loan loss reserves by 1 billion. But my takeaway from here is that we could have hyperinflation, because if there is no landing, then if inflation goes up, we could have hyperinflation. And if there is a geopolitical flare-up, that could also lead to hyperinflation. Right now, I think the US president is a lame duck, because the Congress has refused to come back even to approve aid for the hurricanes. So the president is not going to be able to do much. And the Democratic Party is focused on election. The Republican Party is focused on election. So who is going to police the world? So there is saber rattling in North Korea, which has been added on top of Israel-Hamas conflict and on top of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And the UN force, which has been holding peace in Lebanon, is now becoming a hurdle for Israel because they were supposed to make sure that Hezbollah did not build any tunnels and did not have any armaments in the border region, and they failed in that job. But now when Israel is attacking to remove Hezbollah from the border, the peacekeeping force is in between. So we'll have to see how this goes, because UN is refusing to pull back the peacekeeping troops, and there will be collateral damage. And that could create more vitriol. So we have to look at all those things. Now, coming to my point, okay, I'm thinking of various scenarios as a retired person, and I have my own savings, my retirement plan, my source revenue streams for retirement income, which is all passive. So let us look at three scenarios. One scenario is hyperinflation. Second scenario is that the economy tames down and stays within the 2% or 3% range that the Fed is looking for, and it goes sideways and there is no major problem. And the third one is deflation. So let us start off with hyperinflation. Let us say that there is some kind of supply side constraint due to these geopolitical issues. Gas and oil prices go up, and as a result of which it all percolates back into inflation. In that case, what would happen is that the value of assets will start going up in monetary terms, because the value of money is going to go down. There are very few goods being chased by a lot of money. Therefore, it's going to cause inflation. So who are the people that benefit? The people who own assets are the ones that are going to benefit. People who are holding shares, they are going to benefit. People who are holding real estate property, gold, bullion, all those people are going to benefit. And who are the people that are going to suffer? The salaried people who are depending on salary to meet their expenses, they are the ones who are going to suffer. Because as inflation goes up, the demand for goods will go down. And the first ones that will go down is the discretionary purchases. They will go down. And when the discretionary purchase demand goes down, companies will react by reducing their workforce and reducing their production. That means the unemployment will start going up, and slowly it will go into other sectors. And the two sectors that are less likely to be affected is the luxury sector and the essential sector. Essential sector, because the demand is inelastic. People have to buy essentials to survive. This is bread, salt, milk, those kind of things. And the luxury sector, because the more expensive a thing is, the more it gets value. So luxury is also an inelastic demand. So luxury items will also do very well in that kind of a scenario. So if you are someone who has invested a lot in stock and other areas, you're likely to be much better off, because assets will retain value while money loses value, and that's why you'll have to pay more money to buy the same asset in case of hyperinflation. So now let us look at the second scenario. Everything goes hunky-dory and we stay within the inflation range, and the Fed keeps on cutting rates and we stay within the inflation range. Employment stabilizes and inflation stabilizes. That's the Goldilocks kind of a scenario. I think that everything should be good. Mag 7 should do very well. And overall, we'll see genomic stocks also coming back into favor as money becomes a little bit easier to obtain. So in that kind of a scenario, I think employed people will also do well. and ultra wealthy people will also do well because they are going to continue getting their dividends, and they're going to continue getting their capital appreciation and stuff like that. Now, in case of deflation, who is the person who is going to lose the most? Those are the high net worth people, because they are owning assets, and the asset value will drop because there is not enough money to chase those assets, and as a result of which the value of money goes up. So the people who are salaried people will have much better purchasing power, and all the productive industries will continue to do relatively well, in my opinion, and those employees will continue getting salaries. But there will be a wide range of enterprises that will shut down, and there will be a lack of demand for many goods, as a result of which there will be growing unemployment, and that's how I think the deflation scenario might unfold. So ultimately, at the end of the day, the government will have to stimulate the demand by offering cash, pumping cash into the economy, creating jobs, doing public works projects like building a bridge or building a subway or something like that, and infusing cash into the economy to generate demand and to stimulate the economy. So those are the three scenarios that are possible. The most possible one, I think, is based on the geopolitical situation. I do not see Israel war going down. There is no steps being taken by anybody to stop that war or to contain that war or to hold peace talks. I don't see any meaningful movement there. Russia-Ukraine war is becoming like a sore out there. It's continuing, and there seems to be no end to it. So those two are already well entrenched, and as they continue to fester, they're only going to broaden the theater of war. More parties will get involved, and if Iran does something to blockade the Strait of Hormuz, and if it uses the Houthis to blockade ships on the other side, then there's going to be a lot of problem for countries in Southeast Asia who depend on the Middle East for oil, and that's going to draw them also into the conflict, and it just makes things very messy. And also, this North Korea's new saber rattling right now is taking place while we are in the middle of October. November 5th is when I think we have the election. So there is plenty of time between now and then for things to go really bad. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and I would like to hear from you guys why you think the market is not looking at these geopolitical risks. And I have seen that today oil prices had gone down in the morning when I was doing my recording. So it's very, very interesting to see that on the surface we are seeing different kind of symptoms, but the geopolitical issue, I think, has been kind of neglected or put in the back burner by most market participants. So I'm really heartened to see Jamie Dimon bringing it up as a big issue. I'm glad that he has brought attention to that. But I want to hear from you guys, our ShareTreck viewers. What do you think about the geopolitical issues? Do you think it's something to be worried about? Or we're just going to have the Santa Claus rally and everything is going to be hunky-dory. Please let me know what is your thought process, and also if you say that everything is going to be good or bad or whatever, please give me your reasoning also, so that I can understand where you're coming from, because that will help me to change my opinion as well. If I find you have a logical reason, then that can inform me and I can come back with a different theory. So with that, my friends, I'd like to end this video here. I'd like to catch up with you again in the next video. Bye for now.